Nico, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Jade. I'm excited.
Yeah, how are you doing today?
Good. It's doing real good.
Yeah, have you kind of slowed down coming up on Christmas, or is it pretty much like a normal week for you?
Actually, it's been a little bit of an extra crazy week because I'm trying to
Mm,
get as much done as possible before Christmas. So is
yeah,
everybody else, and then the title companies are closing a little bit early, so it puts us even more behind schedule. But we're
yeah,
getting enough done.
yeah. Trying to get everything closed between now and New Year's, and having to push stuff to the new year and all that.
Yeah, yeah, because nobody wants to close anything next week either.
Exactly. Well, cool. I want to start out by talking about how and when you got into real estate.
Oh man. Okay. So I'd say it was right around 2020 when kind of the whole world was changing over. I was working in finance at the time, but wanted to get out of that rat race. It was becoming a very, really like hard work environment when COVID kind of changed the whole world of like, is it virtual? Is it in person? They had these crazy shifts of being in person and virtual, and our work hours went from being normal, I guess kind of normal, 120-hour work week cycles to like almost 200.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
oh my goodness, it was atrocious. So I was like, I can't do this forever. So I actually looked into real estate to be an agent and was studying for my license through all of that. And it was very close to, I want to say 21 into 21, where I was studying for my license. I was about to pass my license for my agency exam. And they actually ended up letting my whole group go at the company. So I think it was a blessing, but it kind of pushed me out the window and just had to fly from there. Learned a little bit about being an agent, realized I didn't really want to be an agent, and found out about wholesaling and investing and the whole other side of the business. And it was like, well, you know what? If I could put in all the same effort to be an agent as I would to be a wholesaler or an investor, why not do the one that has just the better returns and the community that I enjoyed more? So I liked looking at real estate as an investment point instead of just, oh, does the backsplash make the person happy to buy this house?
Yeah. I have two follow-up questions. So, one, what made you say, I want to be an agent? Like, what brought your attention in that direction?
Thinking that it was the only way to get into real estate. That was pretty much it. I
Yeah.
didn't know anybody else in real estate except a couple friends that were agents, and so I was just under the impression that it's kinda like where you started, and then eventually you evolve into being an investor, or you do something else with it, or you just meet, like, those people.
Yeah.
But just kinda limited knowledge, limited mindset, thinking that was just where you go to get started.
Yeah. So, once you took your courses, you learned a little bit more about like what the job and role was. What made you say, "Oh, I actually don't want to do this"?
Um, Part of it was, like, the paperwork. There's, like, so much paperwork in Texas for a real estate agent, aside from the 180 hours we gotta do just to be an agent.
Yeah.
But, oh my goodness, that was brutal, and I realized too, before I did real estate and before I did that finance thing, I did insurance for, like, a little blip, and it was the same cultivating process as being an insurance agent as it was to be an agent.
Mm,
So, I was just like, "I don't wanna really go through that again. I don't wanna be that guy that pesters your 200 closest friends and family to try to get a listing or something like that." It just wasn't who I wanted to be.
yeah.
And every time I looked at real estate, I was always looking at it for, like, the value of what it was and what it could be, not trying to figure out the value of a house based on if the backsplash was good enough for that buyer, or, like, I guess, like, the emotional state of real estate. I wasn't so interested in that. I wanted the kind of the fast-paced world of it, and from what I found out, investment side of agency getting started is a little rougher, so I thought, "Why not just go right into the investor side?"
Yeah. Okay, so you didn't do any traditional transactions. You kind of skipped the role as being an agent and just dived into being a wholesaler?
Yeah, I did only one transaction, and it was to help my cousin relocate to another apartment, so I was just like an apartment locator for a hot minute.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, how did you get started in wholesaling? What was your starting point in terms of generating leads and all that?
Mm. Um, it actually was because of being an agent. My brokerage at the time, which was Keller Williams, was like, "Hey, if you don't wanna do the whole family outreach thing, go to, like, networking events and meetups and stuff and find people who maybe are looking to buy a house, or go to, like, some church event and see where, like, the new couples are because 'cause they're gonna be wanting to buy a house, And so I was like, okay, like what events are going on in my community? And I found a investor meetup in I think it was in Plano at one of the hotels over there in the Legacy area that was having this big event about investing, and it was kind of broad. They didn't really go too deep, but I was like, well, I'm really interested in the investment side of stuff. It sounds to be kind of where the kind of clients that I would want to work with. So let's just go there and see what it's about. And when I did, I started meeting with other local investors, what they were doing. I started picking up on what wholesaling was, picking up on what just it meant to hold a portfolio and what went into that and how they evaluated for that. And I was like, this is absolutely the community I want to be in. And I just started putting like two and two together. And I was like, well, this is going to be the same amount of work as growing a list of possible clients as a realtor. Why not just do this instead? The cuts were bigger and the community is more engaging. They're more, I don't know, they're just more in tune with what it is like I was interested in. So I was like, let's just go full force into this.
Yeah. Yeah, what I like in the community of investors versus agents is I feel like for the most part, investor communities are more like uplifting and want to
Yeah.
see you do better and they're not as competitive against each other versus
Oh
agent
yeah.
is kind of like cutthroat and like you're friendly, but you're also like, I'm trying to save your
Yeah.
client, like
You
it's
don't know who's actually trying to help sometimes. You're like, I think you're trying to help me, but something tells me you're not really in it for the right reasons.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's definitely funner to hang out with the investors for sure.
Yeah, at least the right ones. I mean, there's probably great agencies too, but
Yeah.
I've only found it to be a better community when I'm involved with or investors versus the agency.
Yeah. So we're both in sub two,
Yeah.
community of sub two. And in that community, we talk a lot about avatars.
Mhm.
What is your primary avatar?
Oh man. I've been like still struggling to kind of figure that part out because I've been
Okay.
playing around with that community part. Um, I feel like I've delved into a couple. I mean, I really help closing as far as a closer goes for a lot of
Mhm.
people, and we'll talk about Power Hour later. But I act as a closer in there,
Yeah.
as well as a couple other people who reach out to me. But I can't remember what they all were entirely.
I guess let me ask you, like,
Yeah,
what's your, I think you do a mix if I'm right, but what's your main source of lead generation? Is it a direct to agent, direct to seller?
yeah, it is. It is a mix. So
Okay.
I kind of just go like direct to people. I started with TTP first, which was just talking to
Mm,
people. So I don't have a preference of which person we're trying to help here. It's just like, okay, how can I talk to somebody and then solve their problem? And the real estate just kind of comes with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So since you do a solid mix of both, what would you say to someone that's like brand new and is maybe trying to figure out which one they should focus on? What, in your opinion, what are the main differences with those two type of lead generations?
Two differences. I would say for when you're dealing with agents, you are dealing with someone who's like a professional, right? So you're, I mean, it's like kind of like a B2B business
Yeah,
where there's some lingo involved that maybe you need to know to at least kind of stand with the crowd in that sense. But it is a more professional approach. I would say the likelihood of being cursed out is lower, but not always. But it's supposed to be lower because again, it's
yeah,
professional.
yeah,
Um, and it's more inviting as a lead type. So, you know, when you go in direct to seller, you don't know if they're really motivated, truly. You don't really know what their timeline is, and you don't really know what their price is. You can just generally understand what the condition is if you've seen the house. Versus listings and agents, you at least know there's motivation because they've actively listed the house to sell. You know that there's a timeline because there should be some kind of set criteria if they're listing the house to sell. And then you obviously know the price because it's listed for sale.
yeah,
So there's at least more information, less hurdles. The biggest drawback is that there's always a like rapport is everything with this business. And so you are limited on the amount of rapport you can create with the seller, which could be the winning gambit to the whole thing. And so you're hopefully transferring that rapport into the agent and the agent's taking that rapport and bringing it back to the seller. But that can get convoluted. So I think if you can be good at getting on like a three-way call in that sense, that's where it becomes really powerful. But I think agency has a lot of benefit there. On the flip side, seller, if you're really good at rapport, then you can make a lot of great traction with direct to seller. It's a little bit more aggressive, somewhat more competitive because people kind of start there more often than not. There's a lot more of an uphill battle because you have to figure out all the motivating factors. But I mean, if you're someone who's very empathetic, sympathetic, and can help go through the motions with a seller and speak to their problems, not just the real estate, not focusing on the real estate, you can have a lot of great success there. I mean, it all works. It's really just kind of like, what's your focus? Are you more business focused? Because then maybe realtors are easier for you. Are you more like customer service facing? Then maybe going right to the seller could be good for you.
Yeah.
I think there's benefits to both.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I do think I mean, I think that you can do both, obviously, but I do
Oh yeah,
think for a starter, it's like a personality thing. I think
it
that's,
is.
yeah. So, like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, with the agents, you do have to build rapport, but maybe not as much as
Right.
with the seller. And it's kind of just direct to the point. Hey, this is for sale. This is how I can help you. Versus sellers, you maybe have to like dance around that
Yeah.
pitch a little bit more.
Yeah,
So,
a little bit. A little bit.
uh,
Some hand holding, a lot of follow up.
yeah. Yeah, maybe a little bit more explaining. Yeah, I can get that. So for a newbie, which one do you recommend, just without considering the personality, I guess, just considering other things?
I'd say for a newbie, personality out the window and a couple other things. The benefit of direct to agent is just that it's free available data all the time versus you
Yeah.
have to kind of cultivate seller data. I mean, you can go right to the road and do some drive for dollars and do direct to seller and do that way. It's kind of cost effective. But if you
Yeah.
want super cost effective, like start right now, pop on Zillow, you can start today. So I
Yeah.
would say that.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, which way does your personality go more towards, the direct to agent or direct to seller?
Mm, hmm. I feel like it's kind of direct to seller because when I talk to agent, I always try my best to get the seller involved on the call as fast as possible because I know that at least in my closing strategies, I'll have a better time convincing the seller that I'm the better one to go with in a competitive situation, and then that rapport is what locks you in. The agent has some wiggle room and some experience to kind of speak on. But if that seller starts trusting you more even than their agent, they might still pick you over the competition. So I would say I do like the direct to seller approach. I mean, I've had a lot of success in that department, so that's kind of also why I'm probably biased.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any KPIs on like I guess like how many conversations you have to have with a seller to get a contract versus how many conversations with an agent? Have
Mm.
you tracked that at all?
I haven't. I know statistically the whole saying is like you get 100 no's and then the next one's going to be a yes. That's what Brent Daniels always talked about.
Yeah.
I personally have not. I probably should. I should be a lot better at my KPIs.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm not typically a KPI person, but it'd just be interesting comparing those two type of lead
Yeah.
strategies.
I
Is
mean, realistically, too, it's like it's about the data you go after too.
Yeah.
Especially when it's direct to seller, you're dealing with so many different variables. So if you're going after like just investor types who are like tired landlords, there's probably a different KPI for those direct to sellers versus you're going after pre foreclosures. I mean, your KPIs are way higher. Your conversion rate's a lot higher usually, but it's a lot more of a emotional battle um, versus just your typical vacant owners. I mean, you're gonna have a lot more competition there. So
Yeah.
I think it's very data driven, not so much like direct to agent. It's just more repetition, whereas direct to seller is very data driven.
Right. Right. So you've been doing this for 3 years or so. From
Yeah,
what
yeah, going on the fourth one now.
it's a short amount of time at the same time as I mean, I feel like in wholesaling real estate, it's a short amount of time to be
Yeah.
in the business. And from what I've seen, you do pretty well. I get your emails all the time about and just to give everyone like a skyline overview of what your business looks like, could you break that down for us a little bit?
Yeah. So it didn't always, it was never like this the whole time. I mean, truly, I mean, 4 years in the business is the overall scope. I really haven't been truly active until like the last recent like year and a half, 2 years. So
Okay.
truly like in this 2 years, year one and a half was all like mindset, getting over hurdles and just like
Yeah.
all the nuances of becoming an entrepreneur. But right now in the business, my big focus is actually helping a lot of wholesalers in the community and in and around the community. A lot of the momentum that we have right now is based on dispoing deals for other wholesalers across the nation,
Mm,
specifically in Dallas and Texas. and along the Gulf Coast, that's where we've been the strongest. But over the nation is what we're kind of focusing on too, because with creative opens the ability to go nationwide. It's a lot easier to do creative deals across the United States versus cash deals because there's a lot more intricacies to that. But as a day-to-day business, we do both lead generation of calling agents as well as calling direct to seller. We have two different teams doing that. And I help with the closings of those leads. So whenever a caller goes in and finds an opportunity to kind of get to next steps, like explaining our offer better, going over any types of objections, that's where I step in, helping get that conversation from just objection handling to an actual contract, and then moving it into the dispo wing, which is what you were talking about, getting all the emails.
Yeah.
Just creating tons and tons of volume is what my objective is each and every month.
Okay. So is your teams, are those like directly your team, or is it like you're JVing with these people on each side, or like what does that look like for the callers?
Yeah, it's all JV based. So my business exploded when I started realizing you don't do real estate by yourself, and this isn't a dog eat dog world like agents make it sound like it is.
Yeah.
So the second you go over that hurdle, it's just like they talk about like the grass being greener on the other side. Like it's a whole forest of green when you just start like sharing abilities. Like, all right, I'm not good at this, but you are. So like I'll let you do that part. I'll handle the part that you're not good at, and we're both gonna win together. And so yeah, it's been JVs of partnering with other people who really like to call on deals or leads that they just don't know what to do with once they get past the lead point. It's people who are really good at closing, just get tons and tons of deal volume, but they can't move the deal, or they don't have the time to move the deal, or they just don't have the network to get the top dollar for that deal. And so I've been helping in every capacity I can when wholesalers or other investors need help, especially in Dallas.
Yeah. I love that because it's helping, not only is it building your business, but it's helping these other people build their business. And you, like you said, you guys are pairing your skills together. So I think that's the hardest part about this business as like a new person is you feel like you have to be good at all these roles. Like I have to be good at calling, I have to be good at closing, I have to be good at KPIs, I have to be good at everything to be successful. Yep. It's just not true. Like honestly, you can be good at one thing and focus on that one thing for the rest of your career as long as you're squatting up with other people that are good at the other things.
Yeah. That's what I've come to realize too. Like you don't have to be good at all of it because there's always somebody in the community who's going to be more than willing to help you in that area. Like the whole, especially that visionary integrator stuff. Like I know for a fact I'm the furthest thing from an integrator. And so to touch that is just going to drive me crazy. So I may as well find other people who are really good at it, and then I can bring them value in the same way and stuff that they're lacking, and we are always winning together.
Yeah. Do you have a partner in the business that is integrator focused and is helping you with your systems?
Not like exclusively. I have a lot of people that I just do a lot of business with, and so let's help each other and kind of in tandem. But I haven't like exactly partnered with somebody. Like some folks have.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll end up coming down the line as you grow and meet people and really want to build that partnership off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you feel like is like a key to running a successful wholesale business?
Well, probably KPIs, but I'm not doing that. I would definitely believe that because I mean that's the heart of it all, to know how you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you're not the integrator type that focuses on the KPI factor of it, it would be taking, I forget who really says it. There's so many people say it. I think Pace says it too, though, is like imperfect action and stop getting hung up on all of the nuances and trying to know everything. That's the big thing too. Like so many people don't take action just because they don't know what they don't know. And so they're trying to figure that out and they're trying to learn that. And they're just on the fly learning in the field. I think you learn so much faster that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think I talked about this on my live on Tuesday, but Pace said something the other day that I've literally been saying it like repeatedly every day since I heard it. He said, done is better than perfect.
Amen.
And yeah, just do the thing. And, I see people all the time that want to watch every single YouTube video or every video in the vault, or they're like, give me answer to every single question you've ever heard on the phone. And just like, you don't need to know all that. You really don't.
No, and you can't. Like, you just realistically can't.
No, and if you, I mean, think about all the time you'd have to spend to do all that, you would never get anywhere. I mean, you could spend years trying to learn everything and not, the moment you get on the phone, you're probably going to forget all of it anyway.
Oh,
So
absolutely. And
just
what you
go.
figured out today might be outdated in a month. Like, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my personality is definitely like I don't have scripts or anything. I have people ask me that all the time. What's a script? Can you give me a script? I'm like, I just say what comes to my head. Really, when I'm on the phone, I just have the conversation. So I get it's kind of a personality thing, but I think people are just nervous about messing up.
Mhm.
And you're gonna mess up. Everyone
Oh,
messes up.
yeah.
Even you who has great experience, you're a closer. I'm sure you've messed up plenty of phone calls, and that's
Oh,
made
yeah.
you the great
I'll
closer
stutter.
you are.
It's
Yeah,
just it's part of it. You can't
it
get caught
is.
up on it.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think differentiates a good wholesaler from a bad wholesaler?
The value of community. So, I
Mm,
mean, when you start valuing the people you're working with, the value you can bring to individuals, like they will reciprocate that value back to you, and it's genuine. You want that genuine value. I don't know if you ever read the book Go Giver, but I think it's a hugely important book that I think any entrepreneur should read. It was
mhm.
part of kind of like Brent Daniels' curriculum, but it speaks volumes that if you cherish the people that you're working with and you intentionally go to those people, whether you know them yet or not, and that includes like the sellers and agents you're talking with. If you
Yeah,
go in there saying like, I want to solve your problem, I want to help you, I want to bring value to you, they will genuinely do the same thing in return. And if you try to undermine folks or you try to like kind of cheat somebody, I mean, it's gonna come back to you whether you believe in some higher power or karma. Like it just comes back to bite you, and you just can't grow that way. Like this is a community thing, like you said at the beginning, versus agency. Like investors are all about it, like picking each other up. We like all want to win together. There's more than enough real estate to go around. Like we
yeah,
don't gotta kill each other tooth and nail for one house in Dallas, Texas. There's millions of houses here.
yeah,
So I think value and community will set you apart 10 over 10.
yeah. I agree. I think one of the biggest things that rubs me wrong in the business is talking to people that, how do I explain this? You can just tell that they're greedy and
Oh
like
yeah.
they want you. Like I've had people come to me. I literally, I had this person come to me one time and they're like, "Can you basically mentor me through this entire deal,
Mhm.
but I want majority and I only want to give you this small little piece." And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not how it works, dude. Like you asked me just to mentor, basically do all the work, but you
Yeah.
want all the profit. Like
Yeah.
you can't have your cake and eat it too. And it's just, I think people forget that money isn't everything in this business. You need to value the relationship you're building with that person. You need to value the experience and the knowledge and everything they're doing to help you versus you just being greedy trying to do the deal. You're probably going to mess it up and not make anything if you don't,
Yeah.
forget that. So
Oh,
yeah,
it's
that
like
drives me
seeing the whole
nuts.
thing. Yep.
It does. It does. So
Oh,
did you start out doing cash wholesaling?
yeah. I was exclusively cash actually until kind of like the middle to end of this year because I didn't really get heavy into sub two. I joined sub two in August of last year. And
Okay.
so, but I was still like trying to figure it out, analysis paralysis, trying to know everything there was about sub two and the documents. And it just got overwhelming. And I was like, you know what? I know cash. I'm going to stick with cash. It's working for me. So, like, why change course when it's
Yeah.
working? But it wasn't until actually Myron and I got to talking, and we were first talking about me helping him, kind of like how like the squad that he's built with just generating leads, learning more about it. He's like, the best way you're going to learn about it is just join a team and be around it 24/7, and you'll figure it all out, and then you can go and kind of do it on your own. And the second I started doing that, surrounding myself with those good people like yourself and Myron and just others in the community, and hearing it over and over again, I was just like, oh, like this isn't that much more complicated than cash. It's a little bit. It's kind of like I always say it's like the algebra of real estate because there's like just so many little more parts to get to X. But at the end of the day, it wasn't too complicated. But to your point, yeah, I started with cash pretty heavily for the first 2 years.
Yeah. So what do you feel now that you have integrated creative financing? What do you feel like that's done for your business? How has
Mhm.
that changed your business?
Um, it's not a ton. Like I said, it gives me the ability to kind of go countrywide because like you can do sub two everywhere and you don't have to really know the market all too well. As long as you can put the deal together like in a realistic, great investment way. anybody in that market or interested in that market is going to buy it. It's also really grown my community a ton. So, I mean, from just being more invested in the sub two community and being active in the sub two community with sub twos or creative deals,
Okay.
it just makes you stand out. And so more people reach out to you and you're growing like just that community base. And then it led to what we created was that power hour now, and which is all creative heavy. And it just, again, it cultivates a community of great people who are sharing in their talents and their expertise. And I mean, that's honestly the best part is the friendships and relationships that you create from it. So it's expanded those relationships for me, which is
Yeah.
indefinitely too.
I love that. That's why I love Sub 2 so much because when
Mhm.
people talk about Sub 2, no one's ever really talking about like, oh, I learned this, and they're not really talking about the real estate part of it. It's always
Yeah.
just like I met all these great people and I have all these new friends, and
Yeah.
I love that so much.
It's more than the education for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, it's all about the community, really. I mean, of course, there's education and you learn more than you could ever ask for in there, but it's all the
It's a fire
friends.
hose.
Yeah, it is a fire. I'm like, every week there's something new. You have to learn to like block it out, honestly.
You
Or
have to.
you're going to get sidetracked.
Easy. There's always some new like exit strategy or new like group like subgroup within the group. It's just like I can't keep track or talk to as many people and run a
Exactly.
business at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with that
Yeah.
in there is they just like, yeah, the shiny object syndrome is
Oh
real.
yeah.
But once
That's
you
right.
learn to turn it off, you're good to go.
But always be mindful because I feel like sometimes I turn it off and I'm like, I probably should be paying attention a little bit so I don't get like outdated either.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So you brought up Power Hour a couple times. I do want you to explain what that is for people that are like, what the heck is Power Hour? What does that mean? What's it about? Let's talk about that.
Sure. So Power Hour started this year. I think we did it like started doing it in June. It's finally kind of polished itself up into what's truly a good meetup action taking community within the last like maybe like 3-ish months. But really it's a group that Myron and I started to help bring not just like sub two people, but like anybody interested in real estate, especially the creative side of things, to just take action, be somewhere where other people are taking action. So kind of boost your confidence. You're like, okay, these people can do it, then I can do it. And if you don't know what to say, you can just kind of sit and listen and hear what other people are saying, and then you start picking up on like the little words here and there. We do get constantly asked, like you were saying, like, oh, what's the script? What's the script? And we kind of have one, but I just feel like it's easier. It's way easier than you think to just start being yourself on the phone
Yeah.
and stop overthinking like the task items. But that's a whole other thing. But the whole point of Power Hour now is just to create that community and get out to the community that we're here to help you understand real estate, understand this facet of real estate, and how it can enhance yourself, your business. And I mean, the best part is you're getting paid to do it too. So like we're generating amazing assignment fees. I think the only KPIs I've actually kept track of is Power Hour so far because that's when I kind of started focusing on it. And I think year to date, right now, coming into the end of the year, we've generated over $72,000 in assignment fees alone from Power
Wow.
Hour. So the momentum's there, the involvement is there. We have some really great people who show up every single Friday, um, and I think there's a lot to be taken away. Whether you want to come and just learn and then try to implement it yourself, knowing that you have a group of people and individuals who can help you in the background, or to be part of that community not daily, but every Friday, so that you can just make the action steps that you're not taking by yourself, and it gives you some form of accountability too.
Yeah.
So I've loved it ever since. It's been a great new venture for us this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so cool for so many reasons. I mean, for one, entrepreneurship and real estate can get, boring, it can get lonely, it can get tough. So when you
Oh
go,
hell yeah,
every week you're gonna go see your friends and hang out with them and do business together. It's so cool.
yes.
I also think that so I struggled. I mean, it's probably been a year or two since I've gotten past this, but for a while I struggled with talking on the phone in front of people. I think
Mhm.
that that's pretty daunting for a lot of people. Like I was confident on the phone, but I remember I guess it was 2 years ago now. I started an office job and I was
Okay.
literally just terrified of it because I didn't want to talk on the phone in front of people. Like
Yep.
I just didn't. I don't know why. It's just something in the human brain, I guess, that just makes you like nervous about it. So anyway, I'm like so impressed by all these people at Power Hour that just talk in front of each other, and like for the most part, everyone's pretty chill about it. Like I'm sure some
Oh
people
yeah.
get nervous, but I feel like if you can go to that and talk on the phone in front of people, then that boosts your confidence so fast to make the phone calls alone and by yourself.
Oh yeah.
You think so too?
It's like, yeah, it gives you that community. Like, because I think that's part of what helps people make those calls when they start seeing other people do it, and they're not
Yeah.
being like critiqued or judged. Like we'll say like, oh, that sounded great, but like maybe say it this way next time. But like it comes from like a great like mentory way versus just like, oh man, Jade, you sounded horrible. Like you totally botched that up. Like, so I think because it comes from a great place, people are like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna be like judged for if I sound bad. Like I'm gonna kind of evolve and do better. And now I can learn new phrases or ways to put things, and it helps boost that confidence. And now too, like, oh, I don't know an answer to that. Somebody here has to know an answer to that. And so it just
Yeah.
limits that ability to need to know everything. Now you have a group of people that, okay, if I don't know the answer, I'll ask Myron. If Myron doesn't know the answer, I'll ask Nico. If Nico doesn't know the answer, I'll ask Jade. Like there's somebody there who's absolutely going to know the answer. And now you
Yeah.
don't feel like you're all in it alone, which I think is part of the issue too with a lot of people. They don't want to take action because they feel like it's all on them or it's nothing. And now it's like, no, it's on everybody. Like we're going to lift each other up. And if you feel like you're struggling somewhere, there's somebody who's probably amazing at that part and they're going to come help you out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that I've definitely like the past 2 times I've been there, I've seen people, kind of go back and forth like, okay, you make a phone call and then I'll give you
Yeah.
feedback. I'll make a phone call, you listen. And
Yeah.
so cool to see it. I mean, it's a different experience when you're in person versus watching videos online.
Oh, yeah.
You can take that action immediately. You hear someone say something, you immediately pick up the phone and say the same thing. I
Yeah.
think it just, changes the game. And I do want to say this for anyone that maybe like I thought this whenever I was going to go the first time is that I thought maybe it was going to be like one person making the call and everyone listening and it'd be like this awkward thing, and it's not like that at all.
Sometimes
Like
it's a slow warm up.
yeah, everyone's just kind of like in their own space and people chime in as you need them, but it's not like the spotlight's on you and you have to, be perfect on the phone in front of everyone. So, in case anyone thinks that, that's not what it's like.
Yeah, no, it's not. And that sometimes like it depends on the size of the group, but it sometimes sounds like a freaking call center, which is a bit of an issue too. But luckily, we have enough room for people to kind of spread out when that
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
But
just
yeah,
in
it's awesome. It is so good. I love the community that we're building here.
yeah. So what's the vision for it? I know maybe you guys were talking about maybe expanding it. What's the plan or maybe the thought process of it so far?
Yeah. Well, for one, DFW is huge, so we would like to at least make it so that we can have like a Dallas side and a Fort Worth side because we do have folks who really want to be a part of it, but they're over on
Yeah.
the Fort Worth end, and it's not that it's not possible, but it could be sometimes like an hour-ish drive, if not more, for some of those people. And so, just to give them somewhere to have comfort, that same like accountability group, but not at a huge reach. I would love to be able to do that. And then, I mean, if we can create this into something that's really changing new and veteran investors to learn more about the business, learn more about this type of business. I would love to be able to bring this to other areas of the United States or at least in Texas and create that same kind of community for other people. And
Mm,
that way, anybody who's getting started knows that there's a hub somewhere that at least on Fridays, if not more days during the week, they can go and feel like they have a community that they can really be in touch with, that they can genuinely like face to face talk to when they have issues or like troubles they're going through or just need help on a certain deal. And just knowing that they have like this world of really great now like friends to just do business with. Like who's in your group, who you can talk with. I think that's the best part of it is you start making all these relationships. And so if we can grow those little bubbles around it, now it's more than just like a Facebook group where maybe you type a post and you hope you get an answer. It's like, oh, I know somebody in this group. I can like text them, call them, meet them for coffee, like whatever it is, and like get some real answers and get some real traction.
yeah. Yeah. It
Or
definitely keeps that like momentum going. And then it's cool, like maybe I had a phone call with the seller yesterday and I don't know what to say on my follow-up call, and I bring the call to you and you talk to the seller for me at Power Hour. Like that's so cool.
yeah, we've done that so many times.
Yeah. Let me see if I have the link. I'd like to throw it in here in case anyone wants to is in the area and wants to sign up. If I can find it, maybe.
I think we're done for this year. The next one should be coming up in January.
Okay. Fridays at 11:30 Central Time, right?
Yeah,
Oops. What
I mean,
did I?
shoot, we got people driving and flying from out of state coming to this.
I've heard that, and that's
I
no,
think it's awesome.
it's really cool. But that also shows you like that people need more of these in their area.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like the thought once we started having people like literally come from like Georgia, Louisiana, Florida, like people are flying just to come sit next to us and talk the whole thing and just see how it's
Yeah.
done and to get them a little bit of like confidence boost. I was like, we got to bring this to them because they're not the only ones probably feeling that way. They were just the only ones who were so inspired that they just had to make the trip.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in your entrepreneur journey, real estate, all the things you've done and been through, what do you feel like is the hardest lesson you've had to learn?
Mm. I think it goes back to that whole lone wolf mentality, that competitive mentality that you assume is what real estate is all about. And just being a business owner is what it's all about. Like being an entrepreneur, you kind of go in there thinking like, okay, I'm trying to run a wholesaling business, an investment business, but so are all these other people. So I'm a competitor to them, and so I need to try to, fish my way through and beat them out of I don't know any opportunity out there, and it's all on me.
Yeah.
When you work on that mental spirit and that mental block and you start realizing that this is so much bigger than yourself and that if you want it to be a real business it has to be bigger than yourself or you'll either kill yourself trying to do everything or you'll never grow enough for it to be worthwhile. I mean, you'll work more trying to do this by yourself than you would if you just got a job. Like it becomes that daunting of a task.
Yeah.
I would say getting past that mental block, just because that's kind of the culture that the world kind of ensues on you as an individual through
Yeah.
school, through media, and through a lot of like just movies and stuff. Like that's what you believe, and then you get into these big corporate worlds. I mean, I worked corporate for a little bit, and they kind of make you feel that way too. I mean, shoot, they treat you that way. So like it's what is reflected on us, and so you just think that everything's that way. And when you break free of that mindset, oh my goodness, is this business and just I'm sure any business gets so much easier when you're like, oh, we can do this together and 10x everything we do by just helping one another versus seeing each other as an enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not only do you 10x it, but it honestly just makes it more fun.
Way
Like,
more fun. I
way
love getting paychecks with people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who wants to feel like it's easy to get burnt out. So when you have
Oh yeah.
people around you that you can text and be like, "Hey, I'm burnt out. Like, help me out." You guys can like, hang out and collaborate. It just brings up your energy so much faster.
Yeah. And it's cool to have people that you can like relate to and have a good conversation with because you're all going
Yeah,
through the same stuff.
exactly. Yeah, because your close friends and family probably don't understand your struggles. So it's nice to have people that know what you're doing day to day and can understand.
They don't think you're just doing something illegal or I thought you wanted to be a real estate agent. Why don't you have any listings?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, my family's always like, "Wait, what do you do?" I'm
Yeah.
like, what? It's too much to explain,
So
honestly.
much to explain. Even though I explain it to an agent like every day.
Yeah, I'm like, "Just real estate, that's it."
Yeah, they're like, "How did you buy that house?" I'm like, "Well, let's start at the beginning."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So what do you feel like you need in your business right now? Or going into 2024, what's something you're like, "I need this to just elevate me to a new level?"
Um, I've been giving that a lot of thought recently. It's kind of been what my wife and I have been focusing on a lot this December. We started reading Traction, which is I think a huge, I mean, everyone calls it kind of like the Bible of an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
The biggest thing is getting organized, getting a lot more organized, getting like with KPIs, with kind of like SOPs, protocols for the business so that when I start bringing on truly like individuals into my business, not just like the JV side of things, but having an actual, start to finish process, I can start hiring people and growing the business outward so that now not all these types of tasks are on me. So I would say that organization and just the integrator stuff of the business is what I need to put a focus on so that I can scale the business from more than just myself.
Yeah. So does that look like you doing that side of things, or does that look like bringing in an integrator person to do that?
Mhm. I mean, I'm thinking more so bringing someone in for
Yeah.
sure. Because like that's how you just go over the curve instead of trying to figure it out yourself. I know I'll spend half the year next year trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen. Or I mean, obviously there's the options of like you pay people to kind of figure it out for you, and then you hope that you can ride on those coattails. Uh,
Yeah.
but again, it goes back to that community side of things. If you can find somebody you really like vibe with and you have similar goals and such, and they're super strong integrator, but they just don't have that visionary output, then I mean that's kind of what I'm looking at is, does this have to be somebody else as a role? And then who is that going to be? What do I want them to be like too? And like how am I going to find that person? And I'm sure that person's out there thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So that's a huge part of it. That, and I mean, that's kind of why I'm doing this too. I know I need to be better with my media, my presence, and just activity on it. And so
Yeah.
getting that ramped up is a huge importance to any business owner. I think in this day and age, especially as we keep moving forward and media becomes that much more important.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. That's definitely, I mean, I've been working on it for probably the 6 months. The last 6 months, when I started this YouTube channel. And so I feel like it can be a lot of work, when you're trying to build a business. And then to me, social media feels like another job that you have to do. So,
Oh, yeah. That's probably half of the reason I don't even like touch it yet. Is I'm like,
yeah,
let's
it
do it.
takes a lot of energy. So in 2024, I'm like, how can I like double my output, but in minimal hours? That's
Yeah.
my thought process.
While
Really.
still getting quality, because like that's the part that's hard
Exactly.
too. Like, you gotta script these things sometimes, and like you gotta really like take the time to maybe edit a video. And then before you know it, the day's over, and it's like I didn't do anything real estate related.
Yeah.
So, oh man.
Life as an entrepreneur, right?
Yep.
So do you see yourself hiring people in 2024, or is that more like a 2025 move?
No, I think 2024 is gonna be the year that there's some serious like team growth in that way, where it's hiring people on, whether that's like some kind of salary type positions or that's like some kind of more sales approach positions like with commissions. um, the dispo business alone is bringing in so much volume. I need somebody to help with that, otherwise I can't do anything else.
Yeah.
So I mean, anybody and anyone who's looking to become a part of a team, I'm absolutely looking for that, whether they want to learn dispo or acquisitions. um, I can't do it myself. So
Yeah.
I think hiring somebody this year is certainly going to be a part of it if I want to grow beyond what I've already accomplished.
Yeah.
Same thing with media. I mean, that's something that probably needs to be outsourced too, because at the end of the day, you got to value your time and you have to know what you're good at. And so if you spend too much time doing what you're not good at, that's how you get burnt out with quicker. That's how you start feeling like you're not accomplishing anything because you're not doing stuff that brings you that joy of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And then you're like feeling like you're super behind because like someone like me, I'm trying to cultivate leads. Like, all right, I spent the last month making social media, but I have no leads now to back up my income. So I'm like, what the heck am I going to do now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the year for that.
Finding that balance. Yeah. So if anyone's listening and they feel like they may be a good fit for your business, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Um, I would say text or call me because my social media does get a little bit overwhelming with people messaging when I post sometimes. So truly, if you are interested, I could put my text. I think I can put my phone number in here, right? Or
Yeah,
no?
it should let you. If YouTube doesn't try to block it, it should.
If not, I'll just read it. It's 214-702-3313.
Come.
Feel free to text me or call me. Would love to talk to anybody interested just wanting to get started in real estate, whether it's again acquisitions or learning the disposition side of the business. Both of them take a ton of energy and time,
Hmm.
but are absolutely worth it. And so I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I'd love to hear from anybody.
Do you want to go ahead and put your Instagram in here as well?
Yeah, I can do that. Where do I push that little thing? Do I just put it? Oh, that's in the private chat. I should actually.
Yeah. Can you get to the comments? I think you can.
I think I can join the chat, connect. Oh, I got to sign into YouTube. Hold on. Let's see what it lets me do. Allow.
Get you some follows so you can start off 2024 strong.
Heck yeah, we're gonna be posting more. That's the mission.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, it's saying There's an error, but it's not my fault. So I don't know what that means.
Type it to me in the private chat and I'll just copy and paste it into the main comments.
All right, I gave you the phone number, and then I think my Instagram is super simple. I don't know. It says you're trying to join, but it's not your fault. An error has occurred. So couldn't tell you.
Yeah, let me see. I got you.
Appreciate it.
As we're coming to an end, I want you to tell people what can you help them with? If they DM you, if they text you, other than joining your team, what's your what value can you bring to people? What can you help people with?
Yeah. I think it goes back to getting started. So if you're in Dallas, definitely come to the Power Hours because I would love to meet you. I'd love to learn about you, what it is you're struggling with maybe, or if it's just like figuring out what niche to get into, or you just need help closing something, you're good at calling people. I just want to help, I think, any individual who's struggling to get their business off the ground or figure out what they're good at in their business. Because a lot of people, I think, try to just do the same thing. Like a lot of people who aren't closers try to be closers. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you're probably burning yourself out 10 times than if you were just doing what you were good at. Yeah. And so I'd say, yeah, if you're just looking for help, looking for someone to talk to, just bounce ideas and just want to really make some real traction this coming year in 2024, I would love to be a part of that takeoff.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I have your Instagram in the chat, your number in the chat, so you guys can shoot him a message, maybe talk about joining his team or just ask him for help and whatever you need in your business. Other than that, do you have any last words of encouragement or anything, sending people off into the new year?
I think it is what Power Hour is really proving to people is just take action. Just whether you're in Dallas or not, go find a group of people or one person, even if one person can hold you accountable enough to it. But I think a group of people at least gives you enough of if one person stops doing it, at least you have two more people. Yeah. But find a group of people to just start taking action with, learn from your mistakes that way, and just understand that you're gonna make errors, you're gonna slip up, but that's okay. The best way you're gonna learn is by taking action. So imperfect action is what's gonna make, I think, anybody's 2024 a great year.
Love it. Yeah. Well, this is going to be the last episode of 2023. So
sweet. Look at me.
Yeah.
Thank you
so much for sending us off into the new year. You brought a lot of value here, and I hope you get a lot of people reaching out to you, and hopefully a lot more people will show up to Power Hour in 2024. I know I'm excited to be a part of that every week. So
I know I'm so happy you're here now. It makes it, oh my God, it's a fun experience.
It's a lot of fun. It brings up my energy, because I lived somewhere where there wasn't really any community in person. So that's one of the main reasons why I moved here. So I can be a part of the meetups and be a part of Power Hour and just be around everybody. So
I love that. Well, you're an awesome addition. So thank you for coming down here.
Thank you. Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And we'll see everybody next time.
All right. Thank you again. Take care.